Hello, today I'm going to bake banana muffins. I have a recipe here that I use in the classroom. It's quite simple, simple list of ingredients that I will put in the description of this video, and a simple recipe to follow that my children actually in the classroom learn how to read and to follow. If children cannot read it, that's fine. They simply work with anyone who can, and it does a great job. So I have my ingredients over on this side, everything that I'll need to make the muffins, and then over here you'll see I have all of the dishes that I need to use, my measuring cups and the stirring utensils as well. What you don't see is I have a little muffin tin. I'll show you. This recipe will fill these 6 muffin cups. You could also use a small loaf pan. Maybe 2 small loaf pans would work, or one slightly larger, maybe 8.5 loaf pan. I think I have one that's a 9-inch and it would just be a little too big for this particular recipe. So the first thing that we're going to do, number 1 on my instruction list, is combine bananas, sugar, egg, and oil that I have in a large bowl. Now, large for us is a little bit relative to the child's size. It's large, but it's still kind of small. This is what I use in the classroom. So before we get the bananas into the bowl, we're going to have to mash them. And I'm going to call my helper into the kitchen. This is my husband, Matt. Come on in, Matt.
Hello.
You can have a seat if you want on the stool.
Sure.
And we're going to put, so you have these little teeny tiny forks because I use them in the classroom.
Oh.
We're going to put the bananas on the cutting board now and mash away. Now I say to the children, if you've had these cut beforehand and frozen like mine, only a few bananas can go on the cutting board at a time, especially if it's small, because then you get banana mush everywhere if there's too many. So as you mash them, go ahead and put them into our work bowl.
All right.
And then we can add more. So the pre-frozen bananas are fine. This is a great activity to use for banana slicing as well. So if you have fresh bananas, your child can peel them and slice them with some sort of safe slicing object, and then go ahead and mash them and do as Matt is doing here, and put them into the larger of your 2 work bowls. Here. Matt may find some of these a little bit difficult to mash because, again, they are frozen. I pulled them out of the freezer maybe about 20 minutes ago. I find that if the bananas are frozen, you let them thaw all the way, they will become a gooey, nasty mess that you will not want to use. And also, once they melt all the way, all that liquid that was once in the banana that's really, really critical for the banana bread is just oozing everywhere and not a help for your recipe at all.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in and make some noise. I'm going to also help you mash bananas with this other teeny tiny fork that I have.
Thanks.
Some of these are still a tad bit too frozen.
They're doing all right.
Part of the fun of baking is being able to get crazy messy, and then always on a good surface for cleaning, right?
I think the most fun part of it is eating the product.
All right, these look wonderful. Will you go ahead and put those in the bowl?
Sure will. I don't know if your students will find this to be the case, but if you sort of drag like this, that's the reason I have it facing me rather than facing out, but I'll try to face it toward the camera. You have more control if you drag things down this way. All right.
Now what do we do with our dirty dishes as we use them? We put them in the dirty dishes to wash later, right? Would you like to put those in the sink for us?
Happy to.
Thank you. So, the next thing that we're going to add is the sugar. This is how our sugar looks. On the recipe, this is where we start to read it. We have, I don't know if you can see that, doesn't really matter. I will go ahead and list it again, like I said before. So it's 3 ripe bananas that were pre-sliced and mashed for us. Then 1/2 cup sugar. So my children start to read this as 1-2 because that's the way that fractions look, right? So I will always encourage them to look on the handles and see if they can find the thing that matches the 1-/2, 1/2, and they'll say, oh, 1-2 cup, and then that's the one that we measure the sugar with. We can see you crawling out of the kitchen in the video. It's a funny way to leave the camera, isn't it? So you can use a little spoon to make sure that you have the right amount. You want it to be pretty level. The white sugar in the white cup is a little bit blended together, but anyway, there it goes in the bowl. Now I'm also going to need 1 egg. Here's my little egg in its own cup. Very important for children to be able to have success in breaking an egg. Use a separate bowl. It's actually great for grown-ups too, right? You don't want to smash all the eggshell into your recipe and be picking that out forever. So we do it on a separate bowl. Now, someone knows to put this in the trash, and this can go in here. So we've got the trash and the dishes, and I need to wash my hands as well. So Matt, come back in. You can start stirring that mixture around, and we'll pull the oil out to measure it.
With the spatula?
Sure. And I'm over here washing my hands because after you use raw egg, we always want to wash our hands. Now, you didn't see me, but I washed my hands before I started this whole process as well. Also very important. That's looking great, and we're going to need to measure the oil in there. So this is the oil I like to use from Trader Joe's, sunflower oil. It doesn't have much of a taste when you bake with it. Yeah, so this is different. This is a liquid cup measurement. Your parents can go into why we use different measurement cups for liquids and dry ingredients. They measure differently is the long and short of it. And we're going to check our recipe again. We need 1/4 cup oil, which is 1/4 for those of you at home. And it says it right here. Mine has a 2, which also has a 1/4. So 2 ounces or 1/4 cup. And I put it down. My children are really, really good about measuring right to the meniscus, to that line of the liquid.
Wow.
Yeah, they like it.
I can actually help with this since I'm wearing my glasses. There you go.
Oh. There you go. You check my work. It's impossible to see the meniscus really if you hold it up in the air. We've talked about that. And
Yeah, it's perfect.
if you measure too much, this kind of bottle is great. You can just pour a little bit back in until you get it right. Right, here we go, in it comes. Now I'm going to save this one. This one doesn't go in the dirty dishes right away. I will use it for greasing the muffin tin later. So I'll put that up by the muffin tin. All right, once that is all mixed, you can set it to the side and we'll measure our dry ingredients. I have this little bowl for the dry ingredients. It's kind of comically small for, adults, but it works perfectly for the children in my classroom. So I have this bag of flour. I am gluten-free at home and in the classroom, so this is gluten-free. However, any type of flour will work. You can just use regular baking flour. It's totally fine. So we need 1 cup of flour. This is the one in our house that has the 1 cup on the side, even though you can't read that. So here we go. Now the flour can often, I'll show you, it likes to come out. Oh, there's way too much flour in there and it spills. So in the bag or container, however you have, that's where I like to use the spoon. And this is unfortunately something you can't really see. That's why I wanted to show you what it looks like before I did this. I'm smoothing off the top. So that way, now, that's much more even with the top of the cup. Yes, it goes everywhere. Ooh, that's our other batch in the oven. Will you check them?
Sure.
No. Shh, I made it 2 batches. So, now we need to add some baking soda and some salt. Now in this recipe it's really nice because the measurements are the same. 1/2 teaspoon of each. You can see that they're still level. Both of them are level. Level means in line with the top of the measurement. And I'll use this to stir. Okay. Matt, would you like to bring that over? You can come and we're going to mix the dry ingredients, go into the wet ingredients. Now, you can do it a little bit at a time. A little bit of the wet ingredient. Sorry, a little bit of the dry ingredients and then stir in. You can see that? Sure, bring them right here.
Yeah, careful behind you.
That's okay. Alright, would you keep incorporating this?
Oh, here, do you need the,
No.
well, I'll keep the oven mitt.
Matt is going to keep stirring, and I'm going to help check the batch that was just in the oven to see if they're done. They look beautiful, right? They rise, they fluff up really nice. When I touch them, they're kind of firm. That tells me they're probably done. Also, they're getting a little bit golden brown. That's doing good. They may or may not need some more time. I'm going to take a toothpick and test the middle. Just going in. Oh my goodness, that came out so clean and clear. I actually think they're perfect. That one, well, that one's a little bit gooey. So actually it's good to check a couple of them. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them back in the oven for a little bit of time, but turn them around. Which way did they come out? Do you remember?
Yeah, I kept it the same way, so the opposite side would be the one that was for the back of the oven.
Okay, so the one in the back of the oven wasn't cooking as well, so I'll turn that and face the front. I'll be right back. I only set it for about 5 more minutes. So that batch of muffins, what I did in my oven was preheated. They're cooking at 325 degrees. I put them in for 10 minutes, kind of evaluated them, turned the muffin tin, thought, okay, another 20 minutes might do it. Then that's when Matt took them out and we just checked them. And they were just a little underdone on the side to the rear of my oven. So I went ahead and turned it one more time, and I put it in for 5 more minutes, and that should totally do it. So you may have to play with this in your own oven a little bit. Toaster oven at school, we toss them in for a good hour anyway, and probably about 30 minutes in I turn them. So the toaster oven can take a little bit longer time. They turn out very done, and they're darker brown on top and things like that. So it just depends on also how you like your muffins.
On a warmer day, they would probably continue to cook outside of the oven.
You need to add more flour.
Thank you. Yeah, it's quite a cold day today, so they would have cooled off way too quickly.
So all these now can go into the dirty dishes. While Matt is continuing to mix, I will show you, excuse me, I'll reach across you. I will show you what I do with that extra oil, right? So there should be enough to put a few drops in each little muffin tin. Not a lot. That you certainly cannot see, but trust me that there is some oil in there. I'm going to rub it around the bottom and the sides of each muffin tin area. This will help when they come out of the oven. They will come out nice and smoothly. All right, that's looking lovely. We can show. Now, fun thing about oil, you can wash your hands or you can rub it into your hands. A lot of my children really enjoy putting the extra oil into their skin. I'm like, that's great. Moisturize your skin. May I see? All right, so Matt has done an excellent job of mixing this. We're gonna keep getting around the side here and the bottom, in this bowl especially, little pieces will stick to the side. So just give it a once over after your child mixes it, because it may or may not all be mixed through. And then I always tell them this is an adult job to spoon the batter in, but you can probably be a little bit more loose with this at home than I can be at school. And you just want to make sure that it looks about equal. And if you find any surprise lumps of flour, you can mix them in as you go. It will very much fill up each muffin tin here. The bowl is a little bit chilly because of the frozen bananas that we used. I like using a spoon that kind of doubles as a spatula so I can get the excess off the sides here. This has not been my cleanest muffin making experience, so apologies. I'll just clean off the sides there. And if it gets like, oh no, too much fell into one, then of course, it's pretty easy just to move it by hand. As Julia Child once said, who's to know when you're done?
Happy little trees.
Yeah. So this will more or less work. Ooh, it's been 5 minutes. Would you like to get our muffins and see if they work very well? And we will switch places. Matt will bring over the finished muffins and I will put these into the oven. But also I need to wash my hands again. Once out of the oven, your muffins, when that toothpick comes out clean and clear, Your muffin should probably sit in the tray for about 10 minutes to cool down, and then after that you can pop them out and put them on a drying rack or someplace else. All right.
Well, look at these. They browned up a little bit more.
They look perfect, actually.
They really do.
If you'd like to use the toothpick, you can check that big one.
Sure.
It's right there on the side.
Ah. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, there's a little bit coming back on it, but I think I could sign off on it.
I think it's probably good. We could get a new toothpick. This was the old one that I
Right.
used anyway. So, always check with a fresh toothpick because he might be seeing the old one too. These look beautiful. They're pretty much the exact right color and consistency. So we're going to call them done. They're going to sit in the tin again for about 10 minutes, and then I can pop them out and cool them however much longer I want before we decide to jump in and eat them. And my next batch I'm going to bake for 15 minutes and turn, and another 15 minutes and then check. And if they need any extra time, you can go from there. So I hope that you really have enjoyed seeing us at work in our kitchen today and that you get a lot out of baking your own banana muffins. Bye!
Nice to meet you all.